Okay, at this time, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Wallingford Inland Wetlands Watercourse Commission to order. The date is June 5th, and we're in the Robert Parisi Council Chambers, Town of Wallingford. Please join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Caroline Reynes.
Nick Kern.
Jim Vitale.
Deborah Phillips.
Jeffrey Necchio.
Jim Heilman.
Aaron O'Hare, environmental planner.
Okay, going on to consideration of the minutes of the May 1st meeting. And I think there's some corrections going on that. Aaron, do you have that information, or you have it, Debbie?
Yes, and then
I gave them to Debbie Phillips. Have you brought them? You want me to tell you?
Well,
All I have is the other item. I don't have that. Okay. I can say what the corrections are that I know of. Page 12 in the top line, to insert 2D in place of 2B. Page 12 also in paragraph 4, insert 2D in place of 2B. Page 24 in the decision motion, to cite 2D instead of 2B.
Debbie, I have the email, Commissioner Phillips, if you want it.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, Debbie, is there a correction going on here?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the minutes of the regular meeting on May 1st, 2024 be accepted as submitted with the corrections of, on page 12, the top line, 2B needs to be replaced by 2D. On page 12 in paragraph 4, 2B needs to be replaced by 2D. And on page 24 in the decision motion, replace 2B with 2D.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made, second. Any discussion? Okay. The voting, you're an alternate too, aren't you? Okay, but I think Jim is also? You're an alternate, right? But tonight, you're elected, you're selected. So it'll be Nick and I, Debbie, and Jimmy. Jeff.
5 or 6?
Huh?
Do we need 5?
Five.
5, okay.
1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 5.
Yeah, Jim was not present last meeting.
What?
Mr. Heilman was not present the last meeting. But you were. So you would achieve 5 that way for the decision.
Wait a minute, whoa. What's going on here? I'm missing part of this. The voting members tonight are Nick, myself,
Yeah,
Debbie, Jeff, and Jimmy.
okay.
Okay. And what was your question?
Well, Mr. Heilman was absent last time, and Mrs. Reynes was here in consideration of the minutes.
So Jim can abstain.
Okay, I'd be satisfied with that.
Are we all set?
Yes.
All right.
Were you for a vote
Okay,
on the
I'm going
minutes?
to call for a vote then. Nick?
Yes. Oops.
Deb?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Abstain.
Yes. Okay. All right, going into old business, application A 18-12.2, 32 Barnes Road, Roland Industries, request for bond. Not ready?
Not ready.
Okay. Application A 24 4.2, 5 Technology Drive, Biotech, New England. Addition to stormwater management.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Dave Ziyax. I'm a professional engineer and principal with F.A. Hesketh Associates. We're located up in East Granby. At your last meeting, we made a full presentation regarding this application and answered some questions that the commission had. At that time, staff had recommended that you table that to this evening to give us a chance to respond to staff comments, and also equally important, to give a contractor that has been brought on by the new owner, Biotech, a chance to catch up on some long deferred maintenance as it relates to the 4 existing basins that are on the property, which they have nearly completed as of this evening. We did get a chance to review all the town staff comments, including a few that came in last week, and we responded in writing with answers to their comments and some adjustments to the plans and the reports. So in your record, those have been addressed. I did complete an inspection before the meeting this evening of the work that's been done in the last week or so, and I see no new surprises out there. Everything was as we expected. They cleaned the outlet structures, the inlet structures, did some mowing, things of that nature, picked up some trash that I pointed out and the like, and I think the work is substantially complete. Staff can speak to that this evening. I think Erin completed her own inspection. I know there's still some questions that they had for me that they would like to discuss as far as moving forward with a long-range plan to keep things operating properly. And, you know, we'll have that meeting and discuss that. But as of right now, I believe the plans are complete, and we've addressed everyone's comments that have been received, at least, you know, at this point. So.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions regarding this application? Jimmy?
No questions.
Jeff?
No questions.
Deb?
No questions.
Nick? Caroline?
No, thank you.
Aaron?
Yeah, so,
Use the mic.
oh, yes, is it? Yes, I guess I have to sit close to it. Okay, so your environmental planners report went out Friday night, and the applicant got a copy. I guess the submittal came in Friday. All the documents you got on 5 Technology came in Friday, and I scooted them into the packet last minute, so they haven't been reviewed. I mean, I briefly looked at them. They need to be reviewed, you know, by the town engineer, and I want to take a closer look. However, the work that Dave Zyke referred to happened, I guess, over the weekend. So on Monday, I went out to inspect the maintenance, which hadn't been done in years. I don't know how many years, but many, many years. So, and I've got photographs. The water division is going to go out and look at the sand filter because the pipe looked little shabby and so on. And I don't know if it's functioning. They're going to determine, but if it's functioning after all these years. Okay, then there's these are the basins on the north, the sand filter and the large basin, which, by the way, is referred to as a retention basin. Maybe Dave can address that. I'm a little confused. Retention means, I thought that meant a wet basin. On the plans, it calls the big north basin a retention basin.
Well, it is a retention infiltration basin. It retains the water and infiltrates the water into the ground.
Okay, and then your 2 existing detention basins down, they're called detention basins.
Yes, they are not infiltration basins. They are wet detention basins.
Okay.
Yes.
And then again, I'm confused because when he did the maintenance, it opened up a whole area that I didn't even know existed because it was in jungle.
Well, look, obviously, your questions aren't answered, and we're not going to discuss this tonight.
Yes, so we discussed this on the phone and in emails back and forth this week, so we're on board with this. This meaning that we're gonna have an in-house meeting. I suggested this afternoon, but that didn't work out. So next week, we'll sit down, town engineer, town planner, and myself will sit down and go over this, because no sense revising it for me and having to revise it again for planning and zoning.
So this isn't ready to be approved tonight?
No, but I would like you to take some action tonight. I would like you to decide on significant impact activity, up or down tonight. And if you feel ready to, I mean, we really should get that going if we're gonna go that way to a public hearing. And then the other thing is, the commission needs an extension to get us to July 17th, whether or not you do the public hearing.
Well, all right, so, but your recommendation is not to approve tonight, but you want us to determine significant activity.
Yes, because there's a lot of earthwork, okay?
And it's not a significant activity, you don't think so? Because this is cleaning up the existing property that was already approved.
No, they're adding a 54,000 square foot building, and they're digging out the slope, the side of the hillside there to do it. So there's a tremendous amount of earthwork. At the last meeting, it was affirmed, the applicant said the earth is being taken off site, almost all of it, some used for the pad, but the rest going off site. I don't know how many truckloads, but it's quite an earth moving operation.
Yeah, but let me try again. Is it a significant activity as far as wetland impacts?
I'd like you just to consider.
Well, I'm asking you to give us some guidance on
Okay,
it.
so there's a few more things. First off, when the water leaves this site, it goes under Carpenter Road 20 feet into that giant wetland system that we're familiar with on 5 Research Parkway. That is where it goes. So yes, if dirt comes in there, if sediment's coming in there, that's where it's ending up, okay? Then the other thing is one of these basins down by Carpenter Lane, Dave referred to both of them as wet basins. Again, I'm confused. One is a wet basin. It is a wetland. It is got sedges and rushes in 3 feet of water, okay? That's planned to receive all this sediment from the sedimented construction flows from the temporary sed traps of this large building coming into it. We have to talk about that, if it maybe can be routed around.
Well,
The other thing is the other basin is dry as a bone, and I'm a little confused why Dave refers to it as a wet basin. It's dry as a bone. And there's broken pipes and such. So they've got a little bit of work to do.
Does the commission feel they can act on whether this is a significant activity or not?
Mr. Chairman, one of the things I would like to ask in light of what's coming out here, can you give us cubic yards as to how many cubic yards you expect to excavate?
I think we were in the order of like around 8,000 to 10,000 yards,
That's huge.
but that's not.
Well,
You know,
okay.
I'm just saying, I don't want to.
Yeah, not relative
But
to
relative to this,
airport or something, yeah.
and
We're
this soil
talking
is,
about it.
as we
One at a
excavate,
time. One at a time.
we're going to be removing it on a daily basis, so it's not going to be stockpiled around on the site. There's no place to put it. So as we
Right.
talked about, it will be hauled off the site on a daily basis, and then once we achieve the pad elevation for the building construction will be fairly conventional. So I don't really see a lot of sediment. I mean, we have a very extensive erosion control plan in mind. I don't really see a lot of sediment leaving this site and going. I appreciate the fact that this thing is in the water protection area, so we're taking that into very serious consideration. The work that we're talking about is, as Aaron pointed out, probably hasn't been done in 5 years or more. I really don't know. There's been a number of property owners out there. All I can tell you is the new property owner taking it serious. We brought a contractor out there, and they did the cleanup. And as of my inspection tonight, I saw nothing out there that we didn't already anticipate, and it's built into our computer models that we did for the town engineer for the drainage. So I just don't see where this is a significant impact on any wetland system. And quite frankly, I don't even really view it as a significant project per se. It's a good-sized project, but it's not, a really challenging project. It's just not in today's world. It's a fairly straightforward project.
Okay. Jimmy?
Okay, thank you. That's a wonderful description. However, we have seen issues in this area in which professionals such as you, with computers like the ones used, with the programs you use, guarantee that nothing would happen. Here's the issue with the area. You have an enormous slope just to your east.
Yes.
And given a strong storm and the conveyance of water down that slope, I mean, it's trap rock underneath there. There is the potential, and using your words, you took it very seriously. The reason you took it very seriously, because it merits taking a very serious look at it. Having said that, I think that it has the potential, given unexpected circumstances, to potentially harm the wetlands in that area. Therefore, I would highly recommend, considering the sensitivity of the area, the amount of exposure that will be opened up until it's completed, and the potential for storms that'll hit that slope coming from the west, as they always do. I can't see why you wouldn't consider it a potential significant activity. That's just my opinion.
Anybody else? Jeff? Deb?
No.
Nick?
At the last meeting, those of us that were here did ask the questions. You had brought up, I think I brought up about the amount of fill, and you had said it was all going to be removed off a site, because it was one of my concerns was runoff from the storm.
Yes.
And you explained then, what was going on, and I don't believe this is a significant activity. It is a large activity, but it's not a significant because of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. If you go out there and look at the project right now, before it started, you can see that it's a spit polished operation, and I don't think you want dirt and mud running around out there in your parking areas or even around the construction site. So I'm comfortable. I don't believe it's a significant activity myself.
Carolyn?
Nothing to add, thank you.
All right. Is there a motion made regarding the significance of this activity?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that application A24-4.2, 5 Technology Drive, Biotech NE Corporation be deemed not a significant impact activity.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? Call for a vote. Jimmy?
No?
Jeff? Yes. Deb?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, will you grant us an extension till the next meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So you'll be, the meeting will be continued till July 17th? Is that the date?
Yes, and next week we'll meet with staff and straighten out any, loose ends that we still have.
That's the key.
Mhm.
And the sooner you start, the sooner you'll be
I
done.
agree, because time slips by on us again.
That's what
Thank you.
happens. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an on and off button here, by the way, now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Application A24, 4.5, 270 Hall Avenue. This is Whiteway Laundry, I believe. And Aaron and I think we had a discussion on this, Aaron, and was granted administration approval. Correct?
Right, I have the file here if anyone wants to see it, but yes.
I don't think so. Okay, going on to A24, 4.6, 2 Wheatfield Drive. Again, addition, a request for administration approval. It was granted on 5/15. If there's any questions? Okay, application A24, 4.7, 898 Church Street, Vincent Peretta. Okay, now this gets a little not complicated, but there's a couple of pieces to this. And there's a request, a petition by the neighborhood to have a public hearing, which they have a perfect right to request a public hearing. So we'll set the public hearing for July 17. They also had a request for a site investigation on the site, on the area. That we don't have to agree to. We can or we can't. It's totally up to the commissioners. The way this situation, I gotta tell you, you just turn down Highland Avenue, you'll see the whole conditions. You don't really have to park. Now, the interesting thing on the public hearing, if the commission feels that the modification to the permit, which would be installing this sidewalk, has any impact to the permit that was already granted. That's one item. If it hasn't got any impact to the permit that was already given, then the public hearing is strictly for the sidewalk. Does that have to be determined tonight, or only when the application is heard, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you haven't heard it yet, right. It hasn't been presented yet, how would you
Right,
know?
so you
Right.
wouldn't know. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind, that it's related to the impact of the permit that's already been given. So that'll be on the agenda for the 17th. Okay. They've requested use of the audiovisual aids. Have you notified them that they have to talk to the?
Yes, yeah.
Because they haven't notified them yet.
They like to be notified a week before, but I'm sure they're listening, they're notified now.
Well, a week before, they're taking their risks, and because they want the Android system in there, but it's not up to me. That's not my department. Okay, going on to application A24 4.8, 4 Miller Road. After the fact application, footbridge administration approval granted. I wonder how the storm they've been dealing with. Okay, application A24 4.9, 79 Kendracky Lane, Marcus Brailes, stabilization of stream bank with blocks. Is the one here? Yep, 79. Hi there.
Good evening, Council.
Name and address for record.
Marcus Briles, 79 Kendracky Lane, Wallingford, Connecticut.
Okay. Aaron, you want to make a presentation or explanation?
Well, this drawing was handed out tonight. Mr. Briles came in yesterday with it, so I handed it out tonight. And the reason it changed from what you got in the May packet, the previous packet, was because the building official said it needed to be engineered. So Mr. Briles didn't want to go that direction, so the building official said, well then, okay, you have to have interlocking blocks, which are very expensive. So they came up with another design. The building official looked at it yesterday and he said it's fine as is, doesn't need to be engineered. Today the town engineer looked at it and she's fine with it too. And what it is a block on the bottom, 3 feet wide, 2 by 3 feet wide, so it sticks out 3 feet lying on the bottom in the channel against the bank, and then riprap on top of that.
Is that one course a block? One course a block or 2 courses?
It's one level. I apologize, I don't recognize the terminology. But what I planned is to do 15 blocks, 1 row.
1 row.
And then that's going to cover ballpark 30 feet. And then riprap on top of it to cover the rest from the block up. Because the bank's ballpark 45 inches high.
And you were able to get some interlocking blocks to do that?
No, I was just going to use the standard Mafia block. They can sit stable next to each other without falling.
Yep. And, okay. So the 3 feet is going to stick out into the brook.
It was actually going to be 2 feet. The block is 3 feet long, so that's where my 30 feet was going to come. I was going to get 15 blocks.
15 blocks and
10 bucks.
Okay. I know it's your project, but you got to help me out here. If your block is 3 by 2 by 2,
Oh, it's
Right.
3 by 2 by 3. Oh,
well, he's got 3 by 2 by 2. Is that a Suzio block or is that a,
That's a Suzio block.
yeah, I think that's correct, don't you?
I believe that's the dimensions that they referred to.
Okay, so you're going to put 15 of them this way, so 15 times 2 feet is 30 feet. But that means the 3-foot side is going to be into the bank.
Unless it's standing.
Or you're going to lose, or you're going to be out in the middle of the brook.
Well, a lot of the property is washed away. So it was going to be right up against the bank that used to be there.
That's okay. I mean, I don't think that's the issue. I just want to be clear that you're not losing an extra foot that you weren't counting on.
No, I think I mapped it out pretty good.
So in other words, the face of the block is going to kind of be the old bank that was there before.
Correct.
Good. Okay. Any other comments, Aaron?
No.
No. Commissioners, Carolyn?
No, thank you.
Nick?
You know better. We were out there upstream of you, they're doing some work. And so we were out there on a site visit. That water gets pretty high barreling down through there. Are you sure that this riprap stone is going to be able to hold the bank back?
If I may address.
Oh, you got a microphone. Is the microphone on? Is the green light on the desk? There you go.
There you go. Sorry about that.
No
If I
problem.
may address you, in regards to that, we have found that a lot of the debris, the problem we're having with the erosion is actually coming from an inlet pipe at 55 Caneschi Lane, which is a bridge that overlaps the stream. What had happened is that the new owners had gone in and put a smaller pipe.
Yeah, we know about it very well.
And what's happening now is we're getting all this back up on our property, and it's literally washing everything away. And our biggest thing right now is finances. How are we going to take care of this so that we don't lose property and we're not damaging the wetlands, and so that this eventually can get repaired?
What I think Mr. Kern is talking about, he's afraid you're going to waste your money with the riprap on the top of the block. That's going to go rolling down the stream. You may want a second layer of block going the other way
Well,
instead of the riprap.
unfortunately, I cannot buy the engineered blocks that are made for stacking and locking in.
Unless we have some type of assistance from the town.
Pardon me, could I have the lady's name?
I'm sorry.
Your name, please.
Kelly Briles, 79 Caneschi Lane.
I hate to see you spend all this time and money on doing this project, and then it's going to wash away on you. So even the Mafia blocks that don't interlock would be better than the 2-inch or the 3-inch riprap you're going to use, because then it's a sure thing the water's going to hit against the Mafia block and then go downstream. Where the riprap, you get a tree coming down from up above, it's going to snag onto the riprap, and it's going to be spread all over the base of your brook out there, because you do have a big elevation difference between a normal day and a rainy day.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
And I've gone out there and I've looked at the water level, and you could see the water level across on the other side of the bank. And I'm thinking that 2 feet of block would probably be stable and catch the height of the water. It's like when we have massive water, that causeway's not allowing the water to flow through like it should, and that's when it backs up a little bit.
Okay.
If I may, I think the biggest problem we're having right now is that causeway. I think it's not just going to be our property in the long run either.
Well, a couple things. Nick, I think what I heard earlier was the town engineer of the building department was requesting interlocking block. That's why stacking mafia wasn't what the town recommended. But it's possible that as you put the layer of block in and not the riprap at this time to see how it acts and see what happens.
Well, as
That's
long
a
as I can get the
possibility.
block that I initially looked at and not the engineered stacking blocks. I believe your engineer asked me to have Suzio sign off on them being capable of being stacked.
I can't go into that because I got my own opinions, all right? I mean, those old mafia blocks have been stacked for years on top of each other. But this is a total different situation. All right. Aaron, comments? Because doesn't seem to be the end of the world here. Oh, the other thing, excuse me, that they're going to fix that bridge. They're going to open that bridge up, I think, by the fall. So that should reduce your backing up your storage water in your yard.
Well, that would be a beautiful thing.
That would solve the
And
problem.
that would,
Well, that's the approved plan,
all right.
okay? Go ahead, Aaron.
I have no comment.
Okay. All right. You okay? Yeah. I'll entertain a motion regarding significant activity.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that A 24-4.9, 79 Kondraki Lane, Marcus Briles, be deemed not a significant impact activity.
Second?
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Call for a vote. Nick?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jimmy? Yes. All set.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies.
Okay, under new business, this is A19, 3.7 East Center Street, looking for a bond request, release.
I'm sorry, I lost my way here. 195? Well,
No,
988.
988
That
East Center
isn't
Street.
ready. No, not ready,
Not
sorry.
ready. Okay, that A24, 1.4, 195 Long Hill, bond release.
Yes, they have requested a bond release. This is tied to another agenda item on page 2 regarding their violation, which in the packet I recommended to release the violation. We can talk about why I feel it can be released. And once it's released, then you can release the bond.
Okay, is there any reason to keep the violation intact?
No, but maybe people don't know, in the condition of approval, one of the conditions was that he submit an engineered report that talks about the stream velocity from the change from the improvements they were going to make. And he failed to submit that report.
Well, that's been done, so,
And then I didn't give you copies, did I? Or maybe I did give you copies in the packet. Godfrey Hoffman did the study, and it said, no, in fact, the velocity will be decreased slightly. So,
okay, all right, let's move on. You need a motion to eliminate the violation?
yes,
Motion to release the violation of,
and a number on it, if we could do a number on it.
no, number 2 under violations. Okay, A24, 1.4.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the notice of violation on A 24-1.4, 195 Long Hill Road be removed.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for a vote. Nick?
Yes.
Eb?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now entertain a motion to release his bond.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that A 24-1.4, 195 Long Hill Road, Wallingford Country Club, the bond be released.
Motion made,
Second.
seconded. Seconded, any discussion? Call for a vote. Jimmy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. We kind of slid over 988 East Center Street. Aaron, what's going on out there? We went out of our way to give him a permission to set up that operation, and what's the holdup? I mean, this is going on a couple years now.
And that's why I haven't, I don't recommend releasing the bond. There's two things. One, he's got minor dumping in the wetlands that's going on now. I think they don't even realize it's wetlands, honestly, and they're piling gravel and stuff there. Okay, but the other issue, I have to sit down with the planning department because they got a special permit or whatever to build an office and so on, make all these improvements. And they started, but they never finished. So there's the stormwater there's no stormwater management that was approved. There's things they got to do for planning and zoning. And so it's kind of gummed up right now. So I have to sit down with the town planner and get this ironed out.
Yeah, because I think 2 years is enough time for them to do what they want to do. They're hauling out of there like crazy every day.
Exactly.
So I believe that if they've got time to haul out of there, they should have time to finish up so they can get their bond back. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
okay. All right. Before we got the receipt of new applications, is there anything here that needs immediate action, such as number 2, Water and Sewer Division?
Oh, yeah, I've neglected to put, they did request an administrative approval. So yes, I would like you to talk about that one.
Is that what you just showed or mentioned before? It's
Yeah, before the meeting started.
200 feet or something in an upland review area?
I have it here if people want to see it. They're putting in a sewer pipe and 200 square feet of impact in the edge of the upland review area.
So
This is near that little tiny brick building that's owned by SNET, just south of Joe Riccello's property. Anyway, there's a lot of wetlands there, but in this case, it's just on the edge of the upland review area, so it's very minor. They're just putting a silt fence.
Are we allowed to vote on this tonight?
I wouldn't vote on it, Mr. Chairman, I just have you do the administrative approval.
Receipt of new application.
What's that, Aaron?
Kathy's saying you have to receive the application. However, we do administrative approvals all month long without receiving the application. So,
So this can be administration approval?
yes, that's what I would like.
Have a problem with that for
No.
administration approval? Okay, then I grant administration approval for the engineering for item A24, 6.1. All right. Now, is application 24, 5.1, is that not going to be acted on until July? Are they going to be able to get their pool in the ground?
Okay, that I would like you to discuss tonight. They want their pool, but it's tied to a violation on the second page, which went out in your packet, okay? So it's number, where is it? Number 4 under H violations, discussion and/or action. Number 4, 360 Woodhouse Avenue, structures, depositions, and ditching in wetlands. So I go out there to look, they come in for a pool permit. And I'd been out there maybe 5 years before when it was owned by somebody else gave administrative approval for a dog fence. So I knew where the wetlands were, very familiar with them. It's a wet marsh, wet meadow. Nothing grows, trees don't grow there. It's a perpetually wet meadow. I believe it, now that I thought about it, I think it's kept wet by springs because it's always wet. Even in a drought, it's always wet and it never grows trees or even shrubs. It's always the low sedges and grasses and so on in that area. So, and it's quite a large area. So I go out to look at the pool to see how much will be in the upland review area. And I noticed they've got activities in the wetlands. I mean, actually in the marsh. And I pictures I sent out in the notice of violation went out. You got a copy of it in your packet. What it is a chicken coop, a chicken house and a chicken coop, indoor, outdoor structure for the chickens. And then a garden ditching. There's ditching in the marsh. Well, the marsh is perpetually wet. Like I say, I believe the area is fed by springs. And why I believe that is where I park my car. I go back to my car and there's a giant puddle by my car. Well, the lawn, it comes down the lawn. And why would it come down the lawn? It's a slope. And the water comes down the lawn. And yeah, the owner said, yeah, we have trouble mowing that spot. It's always wet. And so that's one reason I believe it's fed by high groundwater, springs, whatever you want to call it. And the property next door too, all the properties up there have this condition. So.
Was there any wetland plaques out there? Because I remember when we gave him permission to put this house in there, we requested wetland plaques, cars out in the backyard, and we were specific telling him that he wasn't doing anything but to mow the back piece of the property before the wetlands. It was supposed to be flagged where the wetlands were, upland review. So, and then there was we never gave him approval to put the chicken coop in there. So this is after the fact.
Right. No, and when you talk about wetland placards, you mean back in the 90s when the house was built?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're long. There's a different owner. There might be 3 different owners by then. And I saw no sign, no placards. So anyway, so they put the chicken coop in the marsh. Now, there is something in our regulations, for agricultural. So I was saying, well, could it come under that? Well, first, you have to make a request for determination, it's called. So any farmer or homeowner who wants to do a farm activity, agricultural activity, would fill out the form and the commission would consider it. They don't need a permit, but they have to go through the process of filling out the form, and there's certain requirements. One requirement is you don't fill the wetlands, and you don't fill the wetlands. In other words, you can have a garden in the wetlands if you want to grow rice and other things that like to grow wet, onions, that's okay. But you can't fill. You can put a barn in the wetlands, but you can't fill the wetlands to put the barn in. I mean, there's certain things you cannot do to a wetland, even if you're a farmer. And, and the ditching and so on. Now, it's not the end of the world. No, it's not the end of the world. He's got, ramps, because it's so wet, to access his shed. He's constructed a makeshift ramp to get into the chicken coop, and then he's got the garden. I don't see anything wrong with the pool. I would approve the pool with one proviso, and I did go over this with the pool contractor. I said to him, how do you know when you dig down for that pool, and it's on a slope, so you got to go down several feet to dig it down, how do you know you're not going to hit a spring? And because you're right up against the wetlands, you're like, I don't know, 20 feet from the wetlands on the edge. So he goes, well, yeah, we thought about that. So that's something that they got to work out. Like, okay, what if they do hit a spring? How do you deal with that? How does the pool contract, how do you protect that investment in the pool? I don't know. That's something for them to work out.
Well, is this property on the east or the west side of Woodhouse Avenue?
East side.
East side. It's not on the corner of Quigley, though.
Oh, no, it's way up.
No,
Way up? Oh, on the east side, yeah.
it's right near the Wheatfield Drive, folks. They're all got wetlands up there.
There was a wetland that just came across that whole east side of that property. There was a wetland on the west side on the corner of Quigley, which I think it shows in that picture. Little by little, they seem to shrink. So what are you saying, Aaron? What are we looking at here?
Well,
The pool is not an issue, is that correct?
the pool is not an issue. I mean, it needs a wetland permit, like, because of its proximity to the marsh. I don't have an issue with the pool. As long as they can tell me they need a plan for if they dig down and a spring springs up, I don't want that water going down into Woodhouse Avenue. So they've got to come up with a little plan for that. It might be fine, I don't know. I don't have trouble with the pool. I would like some directive on how to deal with these, what I showed you, the photographs, with the chicken coop and such, and the ditching. I don't know, I mean,
Well,
Well, you said you wanted to put a pool in, you want to put a pool house in there, and you also want to put a fence around the pool. You're not saying where the wastewater is going to go when it comes out of the pool, what the chlorine or whatever they're using, what type of a solution are they using to keep the pool from that?
I'm surprised they're not here tonight. They were supposed to be here.
Well, they're not here. They're not here to answer our
Right.
questions. So, but we start with the pool, then we go to the pool house, now we go to the fenced-in area. And when you haven't talked about wastewater, I don't see anything, I don't think this application's ready to be in front of us. That's just my personal opinion. If the rest of the commission feels so inclined, and then also you got an outstanding violation for the chicken coop.
Okay, I do know one thing. I asked him where the water's going from the pool. And he said it's a circulating system. It's a new system that converts fresh water to salt water or something, and it's contained, and it's in a box, and they take it away, that it's not going to go into the marsh. I said, well, what if they need to drain the pool? He says, well, then they get a truck, and it goes into a truck, and they haul it off. But I do have concerns, like I said, about dewatering, potentially. Maybe it'd be fine, I don't know.
what's the commission feel? Deb?
I'd say let's wait, let's get more information.
Jeff?
I'd rather wait.
Jimmy?
I agree, wait.
Caroline?
Yes, I think waiting, and I have a question. When you say if they start digging for the in-ground pool, if they hit a spring, are they going to move the location of the pool? Like, what is if they hit a spring, the pool just still goes in?
I don't know, they didn't respond, I don't know.
Yeah, I would wait because,
Did you look on the
Well,
map? Did you look on the map to see where the groundwater heads for Tyler Mill, doesn't it? It goes down
Yes,
towards
no,
Tyler
you're right.
Mill.
Yeah, that's where it ends up, yeah.
Right, it ends up in the lower left, or lower right-hand soccer field. Then you've got brooks running down there through Tyler Mill that's all fresh water with wildlife in it. There's too many questions that aren't answered.
You know, yes, and I just realized, looking at these pictures of the ramps, the ramps look kind of recent. I bet this is just recent. When we had all these rains, they had to put in the ramps because the groundwater level is up now. I bet, 3 years ago, we didn't have to do the ramps. It's so high all over town. I get complaints all the time. Yeah. So, this is a very large piece of property. It's a pretty piece of property.
Well, but you're not heading anywhere with it. We're not going to act on it tonight because we need more information because the pool, the chicken coops, the drainage. I mean, that was always a wet street through that when it was a hayfield. The only salvation was you were mowing your hay during the dry time of the year.
I'm very surprised they're not here.
Well, then we got to move on.
Yep.
Okay, it doesn't need to be acted upon tonight.
I would like some input, though, as far as, or at least some thinking, how to think about these structures in a marsh. No one has ever, I've been here 20 years, I've never seen something like this. People put stuff right next to the marsh without a permit, unpermitted stuff, but this is in the marsh.
When I go home tonight, I'll think about it. I don't know what to tell you. I don't have an answer. You get paid the big money for that, to figure out what we got to do.
I got an idea. Is a site walk. Maybe if you see this, you can say, well, that chicken coop isn't that bad, or maybe we should move it, 30 feet out of the marsh, or maybe seeing it, standing there, you would have, everybody would have a better sense of what's going on.
Well, I mean, you're in a wetland, and I don't know if that flagging is still accurate, it probably is. But even the pictures you show, I mean, wetlands is soil type, it's still generating a wetland. Yeah, he's got the ramps and going into that garage, it looks like, is it a garage or a shed?
A shed.
On the other side, it looks like there's a foundation poured for the cinder blocks, yeah, but it's a constructed foundation. We don't know how far down it goes. The water running around, you got some gravel brought in, the water running around, it's still, the ground type is still wetland soil, and that's what it's going to be measured against.
I haven't been here that many years, so I'm kind of new to the commission, but I've never seen where we approved of this kind of activity in the wetland area.
Right,
Or
right.
So what's the problem here? He's in violation. The chicken coop needs to go, and then if he can come up with logical answers to all the questions we have, maybe that's not feasible, because if he does it, the guy across the street's gonna wanna do it, and the next thing you know, we got a whole street full of swimming pools that shouldn't be there because we let one do it. So I think you should start with the violation, clean that up. It's just,
All right, well, that's on the agenda, so do you want to give him a directive on the violation that's on the agenda? Like move the chicken coop or some directive, whatever directive.
I don't want the directive of the chicken coop going so he can have the pool, because you're talking about two different issues here.
Right?
We're talking about an
Right.
outstanding violation from how, God knows how long. And then he's talking about wanting to put a pool in. There's no representation here tonight to tell us what's going on. And you've been out there enough, you know which way the groundwater runs. It runs down through there, comes out on the lower side of that slope into the soccer field on the right going out Clintonville Road. Or, I probably got the wrong street, but
You could Quigley, Harrison Road
Well,
goes to Quigley to go to.
No, Bridle Lane, Bridle Path Lane, I guess it is. Yeah, it goes down to that. The Muddy River is where it goes. The Muddy River as it crosses Woodhouse. That's where this water goes.
Okay, so the directive in the violation to correct the violation.
Which ones?
Well, you wrote the violations.
Okay, but I guess I'll have to go out there again. People, the garden, I guess I haven't, with the gardening, I mean, he has a vegetable garden.
I don't, that.
So I don't see,
I think the major thing is the chicken coop.
yeah, it's a built-in, he's got the two parts. One is a structure, a built structure, and one is the outside coop. It's got a two-part
Are they
thing.
built in a wetland?
Yeah.
Then what are you asking us for?
take the bull by the horns and cure the violation, and then maybe come back in here and make sure they're here to answer our questions about the pool. But I don't think it's not a go thing for me, not out there. There's just too many in particulars out there.
Right.
And like you said, if he digs up the backyard, is he gonna shift the pool when he finds out the water's bubbling out of the ground? They're lucky they got enough houses in there to put the street in to pay for it, but
Yeah, and maybe he wants to do a test pit, would be an idea. A test pit for the
And
pool.
is the property next door the one with the drainage across the front yard? There was always an open drain there across the front yard on one of those properties.
I think it's on the opposite side.
Yes, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. All three of those properties, yes, they have drainage. The driveway goes over it. Yes, goes over a marsh.
Front lawn actually.
Yes. And, yeah.
So the whole thing is a wet going through there. Okay, let's move on.
I just wanted to, you might want to mention to the people that this is an application, the clock is running.
That's on the pool.
Well, yeah, but still,
Right.
it's running, and so he just can't sit and do nothing.
Right. There's incentive. You're saying it. There's incentive.
They're gonna miss the season on the pool
I think
at this
so.
rate. Okay. All right, going over to violations, we're gonna go over to notice of violation, IWWC Act A18 801 North Colony Road and Beaumont Road. I am the Walrus LLC.
Now, before we start, Mr. Chairman, if these guys have an extra copy of their plan for me, if they don't, I'm going to have to run down and get it because I failed to put it on the cart.
We have a plan.
And do you have all the different sheets?
Unbelievable.
Or maybe we could take a break, I'll run down and get it, or,
Well, you can have mine, because I'll listen to their presentation.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now's your chance. Shoot it before it gets away.
Good evening, Chairman Vitale and Commissioners. My name is George Logan. I'm a freshman wetland scientist, soil scientist with Rima Ecological Services. This has been going on for a while, and we hope that we can close everything and put everything in order tonight. There's been a lot of information that we've submitted over several months. One of the last communications that we had with Erin is that, thank you, George, for all this information, but it's a little complicated. Could you please distill it down so we know exactly what it is that you're proposing is remediation for year number 6. This is the last year of the plan. So what we've done is, I'm going to point out to two things. One, there's a plan, which you have in front of you. It's 11 by 17. And also there's an accompanying planting materials and riparian buffer restoration enhancement, which has some coloring codes, which will show you what we're recommending. I will distill it for you, and then Aaron will probably have some questions, and then the commission might have some questions, and maybe we can get to a point. So what we did here with Sigrun, my associate, is that we went and looked at the original plan that was submitted as part of the application, and it had some labels on it. And what we did for each one of these areas 1 through 7, is tell you what was originally supposed to happen in each of these zones, and where we are today, and also what we're going to do for number 6. So, and I'm not going to go into it in any great detail, but just point a few out. For instance, as an example, for area 2, that's the orangey buff colored one that's close to the outlet, if you will, of Payton's Brook. It says, and this is from the original, removal of Japanese knotweed and other invasives, use coir fiber mats on steep slopes, seed with New England roadside matrix upland seed mix. And the caption underneath says that it's been completed. Original seed mix did not take. Other volunteers provided a cover. So that's across the board. We show what has been completed, what has been partially completed, and what needs to happen in each of these labels. And the table will show you, it correlates with the plan. Again, it's color coded. You'll see little circles with 1, 2, 3, and 4s, all the way to 9, 3 colors, and those are coded to the table to show you which areas where things are going to go, and specifically where trees are going to go, because I know we had a discussion that there were insufficient amount of trees per the original plan, and also replace some of the shrubs that didn't make it. So in total, we have 11 trees that are 2-inch caliper minimum that are going to go in, and the plan shows where they're going to go. And we have 21 shrubs that are going to go, and the table shows you which areas they're going to go.
They're more small trees.
Use this.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to this, which hopefully is easily understandable, there's ongoing activities that happen there as far as invasives are concerned. There are things that are going to happen in July and September as far as removal and control and eradication of invasives. And there has been activities that have happened in the past, Since the last meeting, which was 2 or 3 months ago, because we unfortunately, and I apologize, we had our timing and dates messed up the last time, so we didn't show up. One of the things we did do, which we appreciated, is to meet at the field, myself, Sigrun, Aaron, and also Mr. Warless, or the property owner. And we talked to Mr. Diadabo, and we talked about exactly what needed to happen. We got some additional directive from Aaron as far as clarification that needed to happen, and also we clarified some things for her, pointed some things out, and so certain things have happened since. And Sigrun will tell you quickly the things that have been accomplished since that time, and what is going to happen going forward as far as the invasive control.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before you get to that, can I ask some questions, Mr. Chairman, about what they just said? Because I'm trying to, what are these numbers on your colored plan? What are the numbers like the blue, the blue circles, like 10, 4, 11? What is it keying to?
Right. So let's take the little blue numbers. And if you go in the far left of the plan, there's a 5 and a 6. You go to the table, you look at the blue, which is the trees, and you look at 5. So you have American sycamore, and you have 6, and you have a silver maple.
Wait, sycamore, 5. Oh, I thought that was the number of trees was 5.
No, those are the actual codes.
Oh.
Individual trees.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
We're not going to go down this one by one, Aaron.
Well, I don't understand. Like over here, the pink, and over here it's red? Is that on the map? What is the red on the northern section here?
Right, so the color coding is just slightly off, but you have yellow, that's easy to see. You have blue, that's easy to see. So the other color is the pinkish, if you will. So if you go to the far right of the plan and you see a 1, and you go to your table, you'll see that 1 is a silky willow.
Okay, so it's a circle around the 1 is a red rim around it. So that's the red, is the rim. So what is this block of red on the plan?
That's from the original plan.
That delineates the original areas that, on the original plan.
So that blob was
One
area 1A, that's correct.
Area 1A was there. Yeah.
Or area 1 on this one, Sigrid.
Or is it area 7? Way off to the north, isn't that red 7?
You guys want to go out for a beer?
Yep. So the 7 is that green that's along Patton's
Oh,
Brook.
7 is the green. So the red doesn't have a number?
The red is area 1, and there's 2 parts of it, 1A and 1B.
Area 1.
So again, the color on the shading is from the original plan that was,
Oh, area 1.
yeah.
Oh, I see area 1 now. Okay, all right. And did you put any plants in yet? Any trees? In May or June? Or we're already in June.
We put in 9 live stakes of silky willow.
Okay, look, it's my meeting. And my meeting says, what are you going to do to resolve the problem? We're not going to identify every tree. You've got the tree, you've got the chart. Okay, this is where this thing has failed. You had a very aggressive plan 6 years ago. Very, very, very aggressive. And it really didn't totally succeed 100%. So here we are now trying to get it straightened out. If you drive there by now, you can't even see Tractor Supply, even though I'm sure that was your original intention. So let's get to the point that you're going to wrap this thing up and what your plan is to wrap it up.
So the plan is to supplement the plan with trees and shrubs per the plan that you have in front of you and the planting table. So as far as plants are concerned, that's it. There's another component, and that is the continued eradication of invasive species on year 6, which we're in. And Sigrun was going to explain that a little bit, shortly, briefly.
Name and address name for the record.
Okay, Sigrun Gadwa for the record. Okay,
Microphone, pull it towards you. There you go.
Okay. The invasive control act has a new species, which is tree of heaven or ailanthus, which looks very similar to sumac, though it's a completely different and, far worse plant. I went out in February and flagged a couple dozen ailanthus with pink flagging and put blue on the sumacs to make sure they didn't accidentally get removed. Those are going to be treated with an oil-soluble form of trichopyr in July. And I've researched that. That's a very effective way to treat them. They're still young. They're saplings. And then the usual method for several other invasives, which we have been controlling successfully, in particular the Asiatic bittersweet, and there's also, at this point, almost 20 Bradford pears. Those are planted in shopping centers, and they're a new invasive. They're easy to treat with cut and paint, and we did some last fall. We'll finish those up in September. The Japanese knotweed is, with all this rain, it's really tall, except in the areas where it was pulled in April. Along the slope just below the parking lot, there are a couple hundred square feet that it was controlled there. We've already gone in and removed, either cutting close to the ground or removing Japanese knotweed in about a 50-foot wide swath in the middle, going from east to west. It only took about an hour because there are not very many. The density is low, but we got those. That has to be finished, and then herbicide will be used on the weakened Japanese knotweed plants in the fall, and individual treatment of individual stems, and the mugwort also. Weakened mugwort can be killed. Full strength mugwort can't. So we have been working on weakening it over the past couple of years, and I did more of that in that 40-foot swath. We are going to be using a new landscaper based out of country club landscaping, local, as opposed to the Andover landscaping, which reduces the travel costs, so that they can get more work done in relation to how much they're driving. And I will continue training the people doing the weeding and control before they work, which worked very well with Andover. But when there wasn't training, it was a real problem. So.
And the plants are going to be installed
Early September.
September.
Yeah. I've already installed there. Two kinds of plants, the willows and the dogwoods, you can insert into wet ground and then they root, and I've done that for silky willow already, but not for silky dogwood already.
All right. This is your plan. You're going to do what you're submitting tonight.
Correct.
And then you are going to ask for your bond back.
Correct.
You're not going to guarantee that the invasives won't regrow and you're going to control that. This is your done and final.
We actually talked with Aaron about, and Mr. DeBabo, ongoing mowing on the perimeter of the knotweed, and also putting up a fence so that there's not accidental mowing of the planted shrubs, defining the area where knotweed is to be mowed versus other kinds of management. And so that will continue into the future. He's no longer selling it right now. That deal fell through, but he was willing to do that, have that area be mowed into the future.
on the perimeter.
Mr. Vitale, I think what I probably should say is that, yes, we'd like to be done by year 6, which is the last year. However, I think what we need to do is to prove that this is on the right trajectory. So what's going to happen is after, say, a month or so after the planting, we're going to be inspecting and we're going to have a memo that's going to be submitted here. I think that should probably be something that you folks would likely request. And if everything looks correct, then you folks hopefully will consider releasing the bond.
That, something along those lines, because if you're going to tie this to yearly mowing by the owner,
Just on the
you're-
perimeter, not the whole thing.
if you're going to tie this to yearly mowing by the owner, you're never going to get your bond back. You've got to have some kind of closure right there. Yes, we want the guy to mow the knockweed, but that's for his own benefit too, for his own property.
Right.
And if he's going to sell a third building on the property, or he's going to develop another spot on that lot. So there's been there, but to keep going the way we've gone in the last year is just not good for us.
No, it's not good for anyone.
Commissioners, any questions?
I have one question. You said that you researched and came up with this oil soluble treatment. Is that would be safe for this area, or what is that?
It's a targeted spot treatment, a cut and paint. You cut the sapling of ailanthus, and then you do basal painting on the lower stem and on the cut.
And it won't go into the,
No, it's
Rock
just
at all.
triclopyr. It's the same thing that's used very widely. It doesn't affect anything, grasses or sedges, and it's safe for humans and animals.
Basically what it does, it kills the roots.
okay.
So, you cut the stem a few inches above the ground, and within 10 minutes after cutting it, you paint just the cut and the bark, and it basically goes into it because of that oil, and goes into the root systems and kills the roots.
So, but if it kills that so quickly, it contained just that to that area. It's not going to hurt anything else?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's not like glyphosate, which is problematic. This is very targeted.
Okay.
Nick?
You give us 5 or 6 years worth of these plannings and what you're going to do on this phase of it. After that's done, you get your bond back, you disappear. There's no maintenance out there, so everything, all the abrasive species come back and take over everything. So what we're actually doing now is just shooting ourselves in the foot, because we're not going to have any kind of maintenance plan to make sure this thing thrives the way you guys are talking about you want it to be. So
what you're doing, in essence, and I understand your concern, and unfortunately there's at least 2 invasives that came from the watershed. Mugwort would be one. So the idea is that you do what you necessary to do to shade off, to have enough of a density of vegetation so that the invasives don't come in. Now, the problem is that you have a dynamic system, which is because of the brook. So what's close to the brook is other things could come in, but we're at least hoping that going up the slope and that little plateau, we have enough vegetation that we're going to have there that's good and native, that's going to exclude. And you see that if you have a very dense area, invasives don't come in. They don't stand a chance. Once you disturb the ground, then you give them an opportunity to come in.
So, right now, there's a substantial area under the box elder trees, the dense box elder trees, which are well shaded, under the grapes, where the invasives are shaded out, the ways that we're planting these 10 full-size floodplain trees. And, over the long term, the hope is that those trees, and it's very fertile soil and it's moist, it's just ideal growing conditions, that these trees will grow tall and have wide canopies. And the only kind of a riparian corridor which doesn't have tall trees is always a thicket. That's the natural type of riparian corridor. That's the way the vegetation is, and with high fertility. But if you have tall trees, you don't have as thick an understory, and it's more like a beautiful floodplain forest. I would hope that, mulching, that there will be an attempt to make sure that the trees are not strangled by vines and,
So I guess what we're saying is if at the end of this season, there's an indication that some additional fostering and additional maintenance needs to happen, I suppose we could discuss that. Again, our client wants his bond back, so maybe there's consideration of most of the bond going back and some of it being retained back for an additional time period of doing a little bit of maintenance and fostering, if that's necessary, which we will know at the end of the season, once we do the plantings. At least, that's my hope.
Debbie?
one other question that I have. Can the notice of violation be lifted, especially since?
We're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hold on to that question.
Okay.
My concern is how many plants are going to make it to the spring? Looking at it a month after you put it in or 2 months after, but what's going to happen next spring?
That's a good question. That is a good question. Usually you can tell within a few weeks of planting if things are going well, especially if you do it early enough in the fall. But things do happen. That's why landscapers always warranty their plantings for a year after, at least after it's planted. So again, this has been a learning curve for us, probably for you too.
Okay. Jeff?
No questions.
Jimmy?
No question.
Okay. All right. So you're agreeing that, Aaron, this plan that they've submitted will satisfy their bond requirements?
I didn't say that.
I'm asking you.
I've never heard of a bond being released a month after the trees are put in. I've never heard of that. Now, I know these guys want it. It was approved as a 6-year plan, and they're eager to get out of this 6-year project and do other things and such. But I've never heard of putting in, I guess it's 11 trees and a bunch of shrubs. I don't know how many shrubs.
21.
And then the bond's released. That's just unheard of.
Okay.
So that's one issue. And then the other issue, which George and Sigrid has brought up, is this issue of invasive maintenance going forward to keep the invasives at bay. So that's another deal that maybe has to be cut with the owner, I guess, to do. And George mentioned maybe they'd come back intermittently or whatever. So no, I like the planting plan. I like this. Yeah, I like the planting plan. But as far as releasing the bond in October, I don't foresee that happening.
I'm not sure they're ever going to get rid of the invasives through that corridor. They're just overwhelming through there, and they can be there. And I think somewhere along the line, this bond's got to be taken care of, or this thing's got to get resolved. So I'll entertain a motion tonight to accept their final plan. I'm not going to say release the bond just yet, but but accept their final plan as a possible closeout to the bond situation.
Do you want to release the notice of violation?
Do you recall the specifics to the violation, Aaron?
I'm sorry, I left the folder downstairs. I don't know if
So then we should be able to lift the violation because we still got their bond.
there was about 6 different things they were non-compliant with. It wasn't just you're non-compliant. There was specific things.
No bond release, no lifting of violation. She's not prepared to violation release. Okay?
Is that table for the next meeting to discuss that further?
Yeah, I do, can I say one sentence
Yes.
here? Because I went through and read the minutes and the progress reports. And actually, the details of exactly how many trees were cut and why were in that, in those minutes and old progress reports. And one of the core accusations in the notice of violation was that we had cut 30 trees. And in fact, there had been 10 highly damaged box elders that were cut, but then all resprouted because they weren't treated or anything like that. And there were 4 mature, highly invasive Norway maples that were cut. That's it. And then 1 fallen tree that was falling into the water. So the tree cutting aspect was based on just inaccurate recollection, and which is understandable.
All right, so what does that mean tonight?
Well, you know, you should take that into account, because one of the main reasons for the violation was not based on facts. It was based on poor memory.
Then we're not going to sit here and try to determine that.
Right.
Yeah.
That is something you and Aaron should have resolved when it went into effect, that there wasn't those trees cut.
Well, I just found it out after she had already.
Well, what can I
issued
say?
it.
I mean, we're just not going to hash that out tonight.
No, that's fine.
We're not asking to,
That-
but
that's
just a
understanding.
reminder. It's just a reminder.
So we'll work with Aaron on point by point on those items in the violation to see if we can resolve them, and that's
Right.
it.
So we're going back to it. I'm looking for a motion that this is their plan, their final remediation plan for this site,
Okay, Mr. Chairman,
without releasing bonds or anything just yet.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that on A 18-1.2, 801 North Colony Road and 6 Beaumont Road, Paydens Brook, I am the Walrus, we accept their final planting plan.
Is there a
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Call for the vote. Nick?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, Commissioners. We'll see you hopefully next month with
See if we got success. Okay. I think we took care of those violations. Now, no action requested, but Old Colony still's in effect. 67 Schoolhouse for both Little K's and Gerace. 24 Maplewood Avenue. That thing is fired up again. Now, weren't you going to go out there and see what the latest is?
I did.
And
Actually, I went today. It looks the best I've seen it.
it's what again? It looks
It
what?
looks in the best condition I've seen it for 15 years.
All right, but is there a berm between the two
Yes, the
properties?
thing that has fired up is, and the neighbor has called me and up the hill, you know, the other Clarks that live up the hill. They called me and emailed me about that Patricia Clark is perpetually putting lawn mowings and gravel on that low berm between the two houses. And they're upset about it because they feel it retains water on their property. Okay, so when I asked her, what are we talking? How many inches, how many feet? And she goes, oh, well, a lot, like 3 inches, 4 inches. And, you know, the berm I saw today was this high. I mean, it's been there forever, and now it's a little higher. It's not someone wouldn't even call it a berm. I mean, it's just a pile of stuff.
Is this something she just added now?
She's always been adding to that berm. I mean, she constantly puts, you know, fiddles with things, constantly.
I mean, we go through this every year. I totally believe that was the natural flow of water through that area, looking at the original maps that you showed us. I believe that was a wetland area in there, and they
Right.
drained it. They did all these things, and now they're blocking the water from coming through there. So I think there's got to be some kind of direction to this thing.
Well, I don't think they're
I mean, she was asked to allow them to pipe it across, and there was a yes, and then there's a no, and then she just keeps going on at this.
Yes, she
So
keeps
is it a
fiddling.
civil lawsuit between neighbors?
I would say that's one way to go. We have tried several different ways to
We
go.
didn't- Yeah, but other than having fines in our regulation, which is seems to be closer and closer.
Right. But the good news, she hasn't done anything, again, she renovated, she remediated the Verna property next door, and that's okay. No new stuff going on there, so that's okay. I believe that water does travel and ends up in the Verna Marsh, as it should. Does a little bit get held back? Maybe. Up the hill, maybe a little bit. I just don't, I deal with such bigger situations that I don't know.
Well, somewhere along the line, there's got to be some kind of issue because we're going to keep being hounded by it. And I think she really did impede the flow of water through there. It's just a wetland what about the guy with the chicken coop and the swales? Is that okay to have those swales through there?
The water continues to flow, though. She hasn't blocked the
Ponds
water.
up on their property that shouldn't be ponding on the Upper Clark.
Some of it might pond, but basically most of it gets down to the marsh. Yes, some of it might be held up. Some of it might be. But it's still ultimately going where it should go. So, yes, some of it might. I don't doubt that Heidi Clark says some of it's held up. It probably is.
Well,
We can direct her to take the berm out. It's not, I'd have to measure how much of this berm is actually in our jurisdictional area. I'd say offhand that maybe 20 feet of it is, and maybe 40 feet of it is not in our jurisdictional area.
20 feet is, what does that mean?
20 feet lies within our jurisdiction.
20 feet of what?
Imagine a skinny berm.
Yeah.
It's only, we're talking a foot wide.
Yeah?
20 feet of it, that 20 feet is in our jurisdictional area, that 20 feet isn't, or that 40 feet isn't. So we don't even have jurisdiction to make her take that part away. Just this part, even if we want to.
All right, we'll see how it keeps going, but.
I could send her a letter, please take your berm down, the last 20 feet of your berm down, and see if she does.
You're impeding the natural flow of water, and so it's in a file. You're impeding the natural flow of water from day one. Take your berm down. The berm isn't.
Okay, I will send a letter then.
Yeah. Make it, okay. All right. No other issues here. I mean, they're pretty much the standard stuff.
But we were going to add one? Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna have.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to add one violation that's on the agenda, or to the agenda. Debbie?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that under H, violations, discussion and/or action, item number 5, we'll add notice of violation 1103 Old Colony Road, NRWA LLC, issued 2/24/20, noncompliance with directive to add shallow detention basin area.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
And I need a vote. Is there any other discussion? Call for a vote. Jimmy? Jeff?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Okay, now.
I need to ask, Ms. Phillips, do you have that in writing for me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it afterward.
Okay. If you go back, I think most of us was probably on the commission, Jeff not, Caroline. But this is the gas station opposite Frenchie's Repair on the Hartford Turnpike and Old Colony in front of the underpass. And that whole area in the back was a wetland, surrounded wetland, over onto the neighbor's property. And this fellow was, even though he was directed not to do this, he filled in behind that little broken down garage that was not part of the gas station. And he got a violation. It's on the land records. And now he says, well, it's okay. It's not a problem. And Aaron's comments were that you were in favor of leaving it there. Correct?
Leaving what exactly there?
That fill that he put in that behind the garage, that swale that was supposed to be created and going out to the Hartford Turnpike.
Oh, not at the time, I wasn't.
No, but now.
Because I went back there, it's all gravel and weeds have grown up through the gravel. Like you can't even see the gravel. Weeds have grown up. It looks kind of like a weedy, lawny area.
But my feeling is we spent the time for the application, we spent time for the decisions, the commissions here. We wanted the brook, the water to course, we didn't want it filled, because that sucks a lot of area, that's a lot of water, I think that comes off of the Tracy, ends up in there, that pocket. And it should have stayed the same, and it was supposed to, wasn't it originally heading out to the Turnpike, right, Hartford Turnpike?
Yeah, and it goes down, no, well.
Or just before?
It just goes down the main street into the point, yeah.
Right, by everybody's driveway through there.
Tony's,
It's kind of an open depression down through there. I just don't think that this should be, well, it's okay now. Because that's just the same thing as I don't want to ask for permission, I want to ask for forgiveness kind of thing. So I think the answer is no on lifting the violation until he fixes put it back the way it's supposed to be, that we wanted it.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Then I think we've covered just about everything tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I think we got most everything. This is mine, I think.